Hey, how's it going? My name's Alex, and that is correct. Today we are looking over my cost per mile and exposing why it's so darn high. Now, if you do some searching online, generally speaking, semi trucks have an operational cost per mile of about $1.85, $1.86, right in there somewhere, I believe is what it was. I remember seeing a few articles about that. And let me tell you, hot shotting, if done incorrectly, is not much cheaper than that. Now we're gonna go in order of most expensive to least expensive. And so starting out right at the gate, we're going to talk about driver pay. Now, this is not just in my company, in every company, consistently driver pay is like the top. That makes sense because drivers are actually doing the work. So automation, when it comes in, it'll definitely address some of this, but that's far away, maybe. So consistently highest thing, driver pay. And I pay my drivers, I mentioned in numerous other videos, starting out 50 cents a mile. Now, if your critique is, Alex, it's a little bit too high on starting, yes, you're right. But here's the thing, I try to hire drivers with experience, and so because of that, I have to incentivize them to make good money and sacrifice a little bit of comfort. And so by pairing that good, decent driver pay, 50 cents a mile, with giving them a ton of miles and freedom and flexibility, hopefully they can generate good income. Now, 50 cents a mile is how much I pay a driver. That doesn't mean that's how much it actually costs me. Because I'm not one of those shady 1099 companies, all of my drivers are W-2, excuse me, and that means I have to pay 7.5% for drivers on top of that. So even though my driver is getting 50 cents, it actually costs me 54 cents almost per mile to pay these drivers. Moving on, second largest thing, we got fuel cost. Okay, now granted, this past year the fuel was pretty cheap and now it's going back up, but let's figure with idling time, with all that good stuff, you're getting 9 miles to the gallon. And let's say a gallon of fuel at the truck stop is about $3.50 a gallon. At 9 miles a gallon, including all your idle time and stuff like that, at $3.50 a gallon, that gives us a fuel cost of 38 cents. So if you want to be a good driver, you want to save fuel, I would appreciate it because that would lower some of this cost, but 38 cents per mile on fuel. All right, moving on. The next thing on the list is this darn overpriced, expensive Enterprise, according to some of the comments. But still, Enterprise charges me 22 cents a mile for the truck. But here's the thing. There's also a couple of other fees. First of all, sales tax. Even though I'm an interstate carrier, I've tried to get rid of the sales tax and I couldn't get rid of it in Indiana because rental vehicles aren't covered or something like that. So I tried to save costs there. And also, I do get their insurance because I don't want to do a claim on my insurance if I ever turn in a damaged truck. So you could say that Enterprise is actually costing me more like 24 cents a mile, not the 22. Now, I want to say two things about the Enterprise rental real quick. I see your guys' comments and criticisms and video responses and whatnot, but here's the thing. First of all, the only way I could actually save any drastic amount of money is by building out the shop myself and having staff that maintain my shop. That would be the only way I could do it. And I don't have that capacity yet, especially here. Maybe when I move, that's something I'll look into. But right now, I can't. I won't be able to do it. The second thing is, I do believe that all of my drivers appreciate that they get into a new truck. It's not some beat up, old, rundown thing. And because of that, I do think the drivers drive more carefully and have less accidents because all the equipment is new. They try to take care of it when it's brand new. So between those two things, it's going to be hard for me to reduce my cost drastically with by getting rid of the Enterprise. All right, moving on. The next thing on the list, we got insurance. And if you figure about $1,500 a month for insurance, which is fairly on the higher side, but it's reasonable for a newer-ish carrier. I say newer because MC is 2.5 years old, but $1,500 a month. If you do about 8,000 miles a month, your insurance cost is 18.75 cents. Now, I'm reading, I took notes, and so I'm reading it off my computer, but 18.75 cents on insurance. Now, there's two things that you can consider here. Number one is get cheaper insurance, which I am working on that as well. But number two is if you do 8,000 miles a month. If you do more miles, your insurance cost does drop, right? Because there's more miles in there. So really, if you want to save yourself some money, do a ton of miles in a month, and that'll reduce your insurance cost. But on average, my drivers do about 8,000, and then that's when we have to bring the Enterprise truck back for a service, and I like to do it locally. So all things considered, 18.75 I think is a fair assessment for insurance. All right, moving on to the next biggest thing is dispatching costs. Now, I do have dispatchers, obviously, and those dispatchers with all the fees, if you figure, because they're percentage based, if you figure that on about $2 a mile, they would be making 14 cents a mile, right? So on dispatching, so 14 cents. Now that's at the $2 a mile. If they book a little bit more, it'll be more. If they book a little bit less, it'll less. But if you figure 12 to 14, let's just count 14 cents for argument's sake per mile for dispatching costs. And then two more minor things I want to throw in here: 10 cents a mile for office, admin, and factoring. Every load I do, if my factoring company, which is RTS, which I've talked about them before, really good factoring company, if they will factor a load, we use them for literally every load. If they don't, then we do the direct bill. But still, obviously, I have an assistant on payroll, and she does all the factoring, or she's an accountant actually, but it's my wife. So she does all the office admin stuff, and so she handles all that. So if we set aside 10 cents for factoring and the office administration part, I think that's a good ballpark. And then you figure 5 cents a mile for maintenance. So if a driver does about 8,000 miles, that means we'll be setting aside $400 a month for trailer maintenance, repair, stuff like that, which I think is ballpark pretty good too. So now when you add all of this up, I hope you're sitting down. Okay, sit down. It's 54 plus 38 plus 24 plus 18 plus 14 plus 10 plus 5. That gives us a whopping total to run a hotshot right now in Tow Higlet, $1.63. And what did I say earlier in the video? That a semi costs about $1.85 looking at national averages. And there's some things that this doesn't even include, you know what I mean? It doesn't include like office space. So the more trucks I get, the smaller percentage per truck for the office space, stuff like that. And those are really hard to get in there. But guys, I want to stress that these are like the highest numbers, right? It's like my insurance cost is still pretty high. Enterprise is pretty high. Dispatching cost, maybe we could do something there. Driver training, I need to focus on driver training. That's no secret. This way, when I could hire newer drivers, which means I could possibly start at a lower driver cost, maybe, I don't know. But the story is, or the moral of Hotshot is, it is not cheap transport. Hotshot is not cheap transport. And so make sure you understand that your costs are very similar to semi, and the way Hotshots can really go out there and make a benefit for themselves or do a good service that's also really profitable is by charging semi-truck rates and having cheaper equipment, right? That's the only way. So you can kind of widen the gap. So just keep in mind, pay attention to lane rate data, really maximize your profit as a hotshot by charging similar to what full truckloads get on smaller equipment. Now, yes, if you are an owner operator and you dispatch yourself, you can save money there. If you're an owner operator with good driving history and you're a little bit older, you can save a ton on insurance. If you're also going to do your own maintenance, you can have a little bit of a savings there too. So like by doing more work as an owner operator, you can save some money on this. And so I'm just using my actual numbers as an example that it's like hotshotting isn't that much cheaper. So you really better love doing it. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? Where can I save some money? Drive more efficiently. That's probably a big one. But I look forward to hearing from you in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.